Hey there, beer tubers! Welcome back to Beer Analysis 101 with your host, Macwell Star. Tonight, we're going to take a look at something super special that was brought to you by Barrel Aged Nick, of all people. I think he's the one that did all the footwork on this. So, one time a year that we appreciate.
Hi, everybody.
All right, so this is, of course, Amsterdam's legendary Double Tempest Barrel Aged Imperial Stout, which, as a lot of people already know, is a double version of this aged in barrels. So, without further ado, let's introduce the panel. We've already met Greg. We've got Mr. Redbeard here.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Orange
Looking forward to this ginormous, glorious beer. Yes.
All right. And yeah, because Greg wants to say hi again. Hi, Greg.
I want to say hi and say I'm wearing a pink shirt. It's anti-bullying day, so I hope Nick doesn't bully anyone.
Shut up, Greg. I'm kidding.
Aww.
All right. And, of course, we got Mr. Ash. How you doing, Mr. Sexton?
I'm doing well. I had to rush home, given the late notice change of time. I don't have my pink shirt on, but I will for the after chat.
Yay.
Okay. Cheers, everyone.
All right. We're not allowed to make fun of people for it tonight. Alrighty, so let's go back to here and let me pull up the brewery history. We've done Amsterdam before, so I won't go into too much detail. It's to say that Amsterdam traces its origins to Amsterdam Brasserie and Brew Pub, which was opened by Roel Brouwer in September of 1986 in Toronto Entertainment District. The brewery itself was opened in 1988, and the original pub closed in 1993, but Roel Brouwer eventually sold to current owner Jeff Carefoot in 2002. Anyway, so give a little bit of history about what the Tempest was, a single Tempest. It was a Imperial Stout of like 9% ABV, 108 IBUs. But they, in 2013, starting in 2013, they started brewing a double Tempest version where the malt and the hops are doubled up and then barrel aged for an extended period of time. It was first released in 2013. And the first one was aged for 9 months in Four Roses bourbon barrels. And it's also been released in subsequent years since. I think every subsequent release has been aged for a year. Is that right, Greg?
I believe so. I don't have all the bottles to look at in front of me, but I believe that's accurate. Yeah.
No, since you know more about this than I do, what's your little history on the on Double Tempest? Like, you've had it pretty well every year.
Well, yeah, I've had it ever since 2013. They always release it sort of towards the end of November. They used to do a cool thing where they did Double Tempest Day, where I guess they were trying to build hype like the Dark Lord Day or whatever that
Black
thing
Tuesday, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, whatever. But it was actually kind of cool because of the brew. First it was the brewery, then they opened up a brew pub. I think 2015 or something, whatever that year was. They started doing it where they could actually go there and try all these rare variants of Double Tempest with different coffees. And there's one called El Jaguar that has some sort of coffee, and I forget what else it has in it, but it's really good. But I don't think it's ever been bottled, to my knowledge. Not much more of the history. It comes out every year. They don't seem to do the Double Tempest Day much anymore because this year was like nothing. And they actually stopped brewing regular Tempest for a year or two, and then I guess came back by popular demand. So for a while, this was the only Tempest.
Yeah, I find that hard to believe they would actually discontinue Tempest because it's a fantastic beer.
Yeah, I don't know what the reasoning behind it was. Maybe it wasn't selling well enough. Maybe, I don't know, maybe they screwed up some batches or something, because it is a really good beer. And now the thing is, the one thing I'll mention, I'm sure I've mentioned this like 8 times on your show before, but 2013 was the first official release on this. They did a 2012 release that was Bourbon Barrel Aged Tempest, which I think was just regular Tempest, actually Bourbon Barrel Aged. And it was a brewery only release, sold out in like 2 hours. Never got to try it. I would love to, but at this point it's 7 years old, so it probably wouldn't be good anyway.
Barrel aged beer that old, yeah.
Yeah, if any bottles even still exist. But I think that was the origin of Double Tempest. And then 2013 was the first time they actually called it Double Tempest and actually possibly brewed a beer for the actual barrel. I don't know if the original one was actually brewed for the barrel or just a regular Tempest that's thrown in a barrel, but probably wasn't as good as this, I'm assuming.
Yeah. Well, this one's actually, it's been doubled up the whole time.
Yeah, double the malt, double the hop. I would actually love to try this just non-barrel aged form. Like if they just did a special release, I would love to get some.
I kind of wonder what that'd be like. To be honest, like almost
Yeah.
like what would you even call that? Like triple stout or something. And anyway,
Drunk off your ass stout.
exactly. Speaking of, anyway, let's get down to the. We actually have a couple of comments before we get down to our personal histories. Sure.
It's just Craig's in the chat. I was asking him. Well, he was acknowledging that we actually exist, by actually typing in chat, which we always appreciate. And then I just asked him what he was drinking, and he unfortunately is not drinking tonight. Well, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on what side of the fence you're on. He's not feeling so well. He has a chest infection, so hopefully he recovers from the coronavirus quickly.
Yeah.
And
don't die like Joe.
Yeah. Don't catch a case of the Joe.
Don't catch the case of the Paul with a mad knife.
Oh, he is he is drinking homemade lemon tea, which is probably the best thing you can have.
Yeah, well. Actually, one thing I thought really worked well for colds one time was what's it called, a wee toddy. I think it's like lemon juice and rum or something. Oh.
Is that different from a hot toddy?
Yeah, I think a hot toddy is what I'm thinking of. It's been a
Is
while.
it different from a hot Carl?
It was like a shot of whiskey or something in a. Anyway.
Fucking Greg.
Right. I have to look it up now. All right. So let's get down to. Say what?
Greg, is he getting dog raped right now?
He probably is.
No, my wife is
No.
calming the bugger down. He's got too much energy.
Yeah.
I'm not calling him. I'm keeping him busy.
Yeah. So
All
I
right.
apologize for the heavy breathing in the background. It's nothing all that
Yeah,
fun.
we're accustomed to that with you.
It's nothing untowards.
All right, so let's go over to Redbeard and get our what's your history with this beer? Have you ever had a double Tempest? I think you have, haven't you?
I have had several double Tempests, all thanks to Mr. Greg. If you go back to my live streams that I've done in the past, and there's a live stream of us drinking a lot of double Tempest and getting relatively hammered.
Yeah, we drank 3 or 4 in one night. I can't remember.
I think it was 4. It was kind of the same as Bring Out Your Dead. It was a good night. And I also had this at the Royal Winter Fair in Toronto when they had the little beer fest thing. So I've had enough of this to know that I wish I had more.
It's a good beer to have more of.
Nice.
Also,
All right.
random shout out, Beer Fest, me, May 23rd.
Redbeard Festival, May 24th.
23rd.
Dude, you have to pimp
Whatever.
that stuff on Instagram like at least twice a week.
Oh, I'm gonna be doing a bunch of shit. Yeah, I'm just trying to get everything locked down so I can really start
Sorry.
shouting about it. Sorry, go ahead.
All right. So we already kind of know what Greg's history is, but we might as well get him to talk again. This is his turn.
Well, my history is I've had it every single year, and the first year I'll just tell you a story from the first year since I've had it every single year. It's not that exciting. First year they had it, they really screwed up the bottle release where my wife actually went to go pick it up for me because I was working, and they said 4 bottles per person. Great. So my wife went there, and suddenly they told her, it's 1 bottle per person. And of course, I'm all pissed off and stuff like that. I'm like, what the fuck? I only get 1 bottle. So my wife gets me 1 bottle and goes home. And then next thing you know, they make an announcement. It's okay. Now it's unlimited, or it wasn't unlimited, but it was like, now it's up to 6 bottles per person. Feel free to come back. Show us your receipt. We'll let you buy the other 5. I'm like, what?
Why
should
show the
walk in
receipt?
and get 6? Why would I show you the receipt to get another 5? So anyway, then we went to the brew pub and got more, and they were really they were kind of rude, and there was a lot of shit going on that night. So I wrote them and I complained. I'm not generally a big complainer, but I complained, and actually, I forget his name. I think it's Ian something. He actually wrote me back personally. He's their head brewer. Apologized. He's like, hey, look, we've never done a bottle release before, never this. And I totally red-bearded it up because he gave me so much free stuff. He gave me free bottles of some of their expensive shit. He basically paid for a dinner, paid for 2 rounds of beer at the brew pub. So they treated me well and really apologized for all their fuck-ups.
They probably thought you were an influencer.
Ha!
They probably did think I was an influencer. Boy,
Drunk
did I do
Gregaroo.
that. But But that was just a story from that. They kind of fucked up their release, but they were pretty cool about it and made up for it, and I appreciated that. A company that stands behind their service and their product is always good in my books. And unlike Bellwoods, these guys have never fucking sold me an infected batch of this.
Yay!
Even the 2013, which I had last year, not infected. 2014 I had this year, not infected. Funny, maybe Bellwood should figure that out, or they should refund their customers that get fucked over by infected batches. Anyway, that's my history.
Like a certain Bellwoods? Or
Did you try to get a refund for any of your bad beers?
maybe
No, I think
maybe
they
you should
give
totally
it to-
bring out your dead infected beers to get a refund on them. I don't know.
No, you know what? If it was that widespread of an issue, it should have been recalled altogether. Because I
Yeah.
looked on Untapped, and I was not the only one that had the issue with the infected beers.
I agree with
should have
that.
been a voluntary recall on their part.
Anyway,
Show them my review from the BA.
Yeah, because your reviews would count because they're like, "Ooh, that's sexy."
all right. So let's get over to Sexton anyway and say, what's your history? Was it Double X Tempest?
I don't have a history with this beer. I actually just had the regular Tempest for the first time last year when we analyzed it. Amsterdam as a whole, I experienced early on in my my beer drinking, my craft beer drinking days, I suppose. But outside of visiting that brew pub a few years ago, I generally don't purchase their product all that often. I sort of lump them into the same bucket as like Mill Street and
Muskoka.
maybe Blue. Muskoka I buy from time to time, but I guess they're around the same size and stuff like that. But yeah, it's just generally not a product that overly excites me. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just, it is what it is. It's a personal preference. But as for the Tempest, I had the regular one last year, and this is the first time with the double. And I think I give props to Greg for actually getting this into our hands. I mean, I paid for it, but facilitated the exchange, so thank you.
That's true, but you didn't pay for my gas to get it to you.
Yeah.
It took him a couple tries
that's
to
a
get
lot
to get mine here, but I still
That's
appreciate
a
it.
lot of money when you drive a Camaro, you know.
I'm reward enough.
Also, I
Reward.
needed a warm jacket just to get to you. So I expect
So-
to be compensated for that.
Get that trash out of here.
I want to say something, and it might be possible that Ashley has actually had a double Tempest before, because according to my list, Greg brought a 2017 bottle of double Tempest to the on the 10th piss up.
That doesn't matter, man. I wouldn't have remembered shit. Oh wait, wait, to mine or to
Go
Chris?
to Chris's place.
Oh,
So
I didn't tap it.
there was a lot of beers
Bring a
consumed
Tempest
that.
to Ashley's as well.
I
Did
didn't
you?
have.
Well, you probably bring it. You're dead.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't
What
know
did-
because
anyway,
I didn't drink all of the offerings that night because I was driving home, so I kept it pretty easy. I may have overlooked any of the higher ABV stuff.
all right. So to give my history on this beer, again, like most everybody else's, my history has to do with Greg on the this one.
Yay.
The very first bottle share I went to with Greg, it was at the 2015 Albino Rhino Beer Fest. You brought a bottle of 2014 Double Tempest, and actually we reviewed it for my channel. I can't remember the number of it. I'll have to look it up. And that still today is, to my memory, one of the best beers I've ever had. Like, I when I think about the upper echelon of beers I've had in my life, where it's like Pliny the Elder and Westletter and 12, and really those two kind of are up there because back when I did have them, they were still overhyped beers, or that kind of lived up almost to the hype. But if you were to have them now compared to some beers you can get now, they might not be as high. But Double Tempest, that's one that's still, despite being 5 years ago, that's still one that's kind of fresh in my mind as being an amazing beer, and it's still one of the finer beer experiences that I ever had. And I don't mean to inflate Greg's ego too much, but
Oh yeah.
yeah, it's not hard.
Yeah.
Oh, it's hard, Nick. Trust me. I'm sitting here sporting some
Yeah,
wood.
drink it. Yeah, so am I. Anyway, yeah. So and of course, the second time I had it was the 2017 bottle, which I remember I didn't like it as much, and I think you remember you talking about subsequent years weren't really as good as the original.
I think 2014 was probably where it hit its peak. Not to say other years have not been excellent as well, but I think 2014 is still probably the best one for me. I actually think they went downhill a little bit. I think 2015, 16, a little bit less good, and I think 17, 18 sort of brought it back. But then that could just be my stupid palate. Always keep in mind I have a stupid palate.
Anyway, moving right along. Yeah. So yeah, like the 2014 bottle of Double Tempest was like one of the best ones I ever had. It was like a fucking 4.75 out of 5. The 2017, I looked at my rating that I gave it. It was like a 4 out of 5. So it was still really good. But that's my history on it up until, of course, the 2019 bottle tonight, which I'm not going to talk about later.
One of the best things I've ever had. 4.75. Nice, Nick. Nice.
Shut up, Redbeard. Anyway, let's move over to the comments where we have Lee Russell.
Yeah. Monsieur Russell. So we left off with Craig drinking his lemon tea. Lee wishes him best of luck getting over his coronavirus. Lee's like, I have no opinion of this beer other than it's good. I do have opinions on the panel, but I'll save those for the after show. And then not even 30 seconds later, he comments and it says, Greg is a fickle hipster. Don't trust him. So
That's true.
Couldn't wait until the after show. He just had to get that out about Greg.
That's true.
He was nodding at him.
All right.
There we go.
Okay. All right. So I'm assuming we've all get this thing cracked open now.
Yeah.
We're allowed to drink on your show?
I think Redbeard's already finished his. I saw him.
Yeah, Redbeard, you can't be completely finished yours.
I've got this much left.
Yeah, but he emptied the bottle. I saw him like,
Look at that much left.
Like this is scary smooth for this fucking ABV. Like I'm not getting any burn, no warming. Like it's got a bit of alcohol legs kind of going on if you go like that. But
yeah, it's almost not like liqueur chocolates or something like that. I almost feel like you can tell this, like it doesn't really come across so much as bourbon to me. There's a lot of butterscotch in this, but it's not like quite that chewy vanilla that you would get out of bourbon. This is more like Irish whiskey.
Like we mentioned before we went live, it doesn't specifically say bourbon barrels. On the back of the bottle, it actually says whiskey barrels, so we're not sure what it was aged in, but I'm not getting bourbon off this really.
Yeah, I'm not really getting bourbon off this. This is coming across as more like a Canadian or an Irish whiskey. Like not rye.
It's goddamn glorious.
Not rye,
they reuse the barrels or something.
I think they used first fill barrels for this thing.
You'd think so, but companies are sometimes cheap and don't.
It does say on the side that it was 10-year-old whiskey barrels, and I wish I could have got more information. It's really kind of hard to find because they don't post a lot of that details.
Yeah, they don't volunteer the information if they don't have to.
Yeah, and me being not that close to the brewery, I can't just go in and ask. So
excuses.
Greg could have asked.
No. Oh, excuse me.
The thing is, it's a big brewery. It's not like your local neighborhood brewery. It's a giant brew pub. If I ask the waitress, you know what the waitress say? Well, we have a bone shaker if you like.
It's really nice.
Yes, this is like I haven't had the actual original Tempest Stout.
You didn't have it?
I haven't had it. Apparently, it's pretty. But aside from that beer and this beer, nothing Amsterdam makes really wows me at all. Like it's not nothing really bad. Like Bone Shaker's okay, but it's not. I don't know. There's so many other beers I would choose over those. That and even Fracture, the double one.
I'm a big fan of Bone Shaker, but yeah, I sort of agree for the most part they don't make particularly interesting beers. And I've never for some reason the flavor of Fracture just never works for me.
They used to release some random farmhouse series or some shit like that in the LCBO every couple months, just like Bose. I feel like they used to make a lot more interesting one-off beers, and now they just kind of focus on their main shit.
Now they're kind of a mass market thing.
Yeah, just like again Bose. Like Bose used to make some really really cool one-off beers that would show up all the time even their 4-packs, seasonal 4-packs. It used to be always with the stupid lug tread, of course. But then there'd be three completely one-off beers, whereas now it's like lug tread, their stupid full-time IPA, their stupid session IPA, and one new beer. Like
which
bullshit.
guarantees sucks. It's probably a Gruit or some dumb shit like that, or some fucking flavored Martzen, like a style that no one ever wants. Anyways, I digress.
Yeah, no, you have completely valid points though. Yeah, this is great.
Yeah, so are we ready to go through and talk about our ratings?
I will go back to the comments really quickly.
Sure.
Kent acknowledges Lee's existence. He's like, cheers, Lee. Lee
Yay.
clarified what I had said and corrected it. He's like, that's not an opinion. However, that's just objective truth.
I think he's referring to this comment. Greg is a fickle hipster, didn't trust him.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, oh, he's throwing his opinion. And he's like, no, it's just the truth. And then,
Or is it this? I have no opinion on the beer other than it's good. I do have an opinion panel.
and
Say it, all right, on the panel. Yeah,
Harry actually corrected himself. And
touched. Great. Yeah, red beer got touched.
Fucking
No.
autocorrect. God damn it.
And
I'm not-
Craig
I'm-
asked to your someone's tasting note about butterscotch. I think that was you, Nick. He's like, butterscotch, not diacetyl. Does it come across as a brewing fault, or does it come across?
No,
as a
it doesn't
flavor
come
note?
off as a brewing fault. It's more like butterscotch as you get in like a whiskey. It really reminds me of like the butter rum lifesavers you used to be able to get.
How about a Werther's?
I prefer.
That's
I,
good. Yes, so Werther's original. That
I-
is good.
I prefer the butters. Those butterscotch lifesavers are so goddamn good.
That's kind of what I'm thinking of when I think about butterscotch lifesavers. I wish I could still get them. Or
I used to get the when I was a kid growing up. They I don't know if they still did, but they made like it was a stupid storybook thing, and it had like 10 or 12 different flavors. Yeah, there's always butterscotch in there.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I've been thinking of when I think about the butter rum lifesavers. I think that's what they used to be called.
Well,
I used to get the lifesavers book for Christmas every year. So
I think everyone did.
Yeah,
Everyone
when
around
we
our
were a
age.
kid.
I just noticed something kind of cool.
We're all the same age except for Greg, who's the youngin.
I'm pretty sure these are hand fucking labeled, which is actually kind of cool. You guys notice that? Or do yours have any bubbles?
There's like bubbles in my label.
Yeah, these are totally.
I wouldn't be
These are hand
surprised.
labeled.
I wouldn't be surprised if these are hand labeled. To be honest.
You know what, guys? It's not bubbles. It's the label itself. The label is partially transparent.
Yeah.
And it's textured. So
No, I can feel the air bubbles. Like I can make them come out up here. Like
Yeah,
it's
mine's
good bubbles.
actually got a wrinkle right here.
Yeah, there's a bunch of air bubbles in this shit.
It's like
Yeah,
Oh
well,
my god. You guys are finding out I gave you all the flawed bottles.
No, I just think that's really cool that a brewery that big that I imagine they made a shit ton of this beer and they actually hand labeled it.
That's not butterscotch I'm tasting. That's Greg's anal butter.
Yeah.
okay,
I prefer
jump
to
to,
call it
All right,
anal,
let's
yeah.
go to. Red
So
beer.
Nick is saying he sucked on the wax before he opened it, basically.
Shut up.
Jesus.
All right.
all right. Yeah, tell us what-
Okay.
Yeah,
so,
as far as this goes, this is one of the tastiest goddamn things I've had in a long time. Like I like we're all saying here, I wish we did know just exactly what it was aged in, because whiskey is kind of vague, but I'm getting just like the chocolatey, fucking delicious, roasty, malty. It's again super smooth. There's no hint of it being super high ABV. And what's the price on this, Greg? It's not even super expensive, is it?
17 a bottle.
Okay, it's pricey. It's pricey, but
Pricey.
it's a bigger bottle, and yeah, it's.
It's a good
I would buy at least probably 2 or 3 more. For the style, barrel aged stout, fucking 10. Personal enjoyment, fucking 10. I think this is amazing. I love it. I love this so much.
Nice. What were the scores again?
10.
Tens.
Doesn't get much easier than that.
Tens and tens and tens and tens.
Yeah,
Would've
it's
had to
already
really not-
hitting.
Yeah, you would have really not to have been paying attention to have missed that.
This is so good.
Distracted. All right. So
Well,
let's go.
and one more thing, just quickly. Going back to when Greg and I did the vertical. I want to say that I'm pretty sure we both agreed this year's version of the ones we had was the tastiest. So they've done. I never had the original one that Nick was raving about, but I feel like this is kind of
Well, I didn't have
potentially
the original. I had the 14.
well, so they're way more original than what I've had, kind of thing. Well, a couple years newer. Whatever. Regardless, maybe this is kind of a return to form potentially. That's it. Done. Sorry, I apologize.
All right.
Okay.
All right, so let's go over to
Hi.
Greg and see what he says. What's your
Yeah,
opinion of
funny
this
thing-
beer? Not that we didn't already know it.
Funny thing is, none of you schlubs have actually had the 2013. I have, but there is one person in our group, I guess you'd call it, that has, and that's Chad. Now, if you want to look up that video, look up Chad's Double Tempest video. That is my very first appearance on camera in anything beer related ever. I went over just to drop some beers off at Chad's place, and I said, "Hey, Chad, I brought this bottle of Double Tempest. You want to try it?" He's like, "Sure." We sit down in his basement, start to drink it. As soon as he tastes it, he's like, "Are you okay with being on camera? Because I have to film this." Because he
I'm
like,
gonna
'cause he
check
like
this
that
out.
little.
It's
like a
that
little
kind of look in his
photo.
eyes like he has to take a shit.
No, he had to look at his eyes like
I
I
need to
just
film this.
ejaculated my pants. It's like, oh, I really didn't anticipate that.
I
strip
can't
would be
stand
so
up
I'm
good.
gonna start
right
Tempest
now.
doing that.
So-
This is awesome.
So there you go. And I don't really talk much on it. And I think I try and make some stupid jokes on it and embarrass myself like I do every week. Except back then I was self-conscious. Now I'm not. So
I got it.
Now you have no fucking shame.
You had your awakening of sorts.
Nick, go to me for 2 seconds.
What? Oh god.
Oh, there we go.
Holy fuck, young Greg.
There he is.
It looks exactly the same.
That's before he had his
Yeah.
cherry pop.
Maybe a little fatter, actually.
Oh, definitely
Uh,
fatter.
Good times. All right, that's it.
Anyways,
That's it.
I mean, you
were
were
on your
never
own.
really fat, but I mean, the first time I ever saw you, you were like, okay, well, you.
I was
the
more
second
plump,
you-
I was more plump than I am now.
Yeah, like the
Cool.
second year I saw you, I'm like, holy shit, man, you worked out.
you're probably aging better than the three of us are. So.
I worked out then too, but I was just any muscle tone I had was covered in fat. It still is, just less fat.
What the hell, Ashley?
Whatever, man.
Anyways,
fine.
Anyways, there's not that much interesting I can tell you guys. That's going to be a high score for me. I will say this year, this has actually to me been challenged a little bit by the GLB Solstice Stout, which I think is our highest rated beer analysis 101 beer at this point. That one to me really brought out the really good, sweet, tasty vanilla bourbonness to it, if that's a word, which I feel is a little bit lacking in this one, but this is different. This is more.
We don't know if it's bourbon.
Sorry?
We don't know if this
It
one's
may-
bourbon.
It may not be bourbon. You're right.
Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off. Sorry.
But this one to me, you get a lot more of the stout. Like it doesn't seem to be like the GLB beer that really is just whatever barrel they used took it over. This you still get the stout, you get the chocolate. I do get quite a bit of wood actually from this. Wood.
Of course, you get wood, Greg.
Little bit of wood.
I think we're all
kind
getting
of
wood from this beer.
Wood tannic. Now I will tell you that what separates this beer for me from the GLB. Now they're both excellent beers. What this Double Tempest has always done, even in its bad years, is they make a really good body on their beer. Like this beer is thick. My lips are sticky. Like I'm drinking this, I'm like drinking oil, and I love that. Like even with GLB, as much as I love them, they don't get the beer right in terms of the body for me. It's just it's too thin of a body. Whereas this, I think, is maybe it's not the thickest it's ever been. Like I think 2014 probably was the thickest, but I just love how it coats your mouth, and it's just like you really feel like you're really drinking a big beer, even though you could just down the bottle quickly and then probably shit yourself and pass out. So that's where really this beer comes in for me. Like I think if I were rating them completely only on flavor, I may actually prefer the GLB Solstice. But sort of as an overall beer package, I still think this is the one I prefer. Just because I want my stouts. I want to cut my stout with a knife. And that's it. So whatever, 10 and 10. It's pretty much as... I mean, I could nitpick and say, well, maybe it's a 9.75 in flavor and something like this. But really, it's a 10 out of 10. There's really so few barrel-aged stouts that really can... It's really only this one, Solstice, and what's the other one I had? Bourbon County, that really are really even in the echelon. Most bourbon barrel-aged stouts I taste are nowhere near as good as any of these. So, yeah, it's an easy 10 out of 10 out of 10 out of 100, whatever.
So,
Out of 100, that became like 1 out of 10 right there.
Yeah, we're bombing this.
10 and 10, 10 and 10 for you, right?
10 and 10, yeah, we're just going there.
I could have
I
wrote
love
that
it.
down before you talked about
I
it.
love it.
All right, let's go over to Ash and see how he fares.
All right, so I'm going to do this a little backwards this time. I'm going to give my scores first, and then I'm going to talk about it.
All right.
So I'm not
7
going
and
to.
7.
No, it's not 7-7. I'm not jumping on
Oh,
the
5.
I'm going to give the for style. I'm going to give it a high. I'm going to like take a note out of like Joe's page here. I'm going to give it a high 8 3/4. So 8.85
Boo.
for style, and for personal preference, I'm going to give it an 8. I'm going to tell you why. Okay, so first off, this is a fantastic beer. It is very well made. It is very well done. I would have liked for the style. I would have liked to have picked up more from the barrel. I mean, there are those tannins that carry through, but I was looking for a little bit more of the characteristics, I guess, from the whiskey or the bourbon, whatever it is you want to call it. I get a little bit of it, but it's not as heavy as I was thinking. Now, for personal preference, though, first off, the malt on this, like the malt complexity is absolutely fantastic. The flavor notes that I'm getting are pretty much exactly as they are off the bottom of the back of the label. I'm getting like that raisin, butterscotch caramel, like a lot of nice like complexities, but it does lean a little bit on the sweet side. So the reason why my personal preference was a little bit lower was because I was really hoping for. Oh my God, I'm like pulling notes out of everyone's book today. I wanted more of a bombastic type of, like, really, really impactful. And maybe it's because, Greg, like, in the 2 years I've known you, as you've put this beer up on such a high pedestal that I was expecting it to, like, tickle me in all the right places. So what I find is
that's for when I come over to Ashley,
right? So while they have the like all those beautiful malt flavors that you can get, that you would expect in a stout like this, what it lacks is that bite. It lacks that I'm looking for that bitterness. I'm looking for that sharp dark malt flavor. It's just missing a little bit for me. That balances the sweetness with the bitterness. The body on it, I would just say, is straight medium. I haven't had the years past where, Greg, I think you were alluding to it, maybe a little bit thicker in years past. The body is still very nice to me. I'm not faulting it for the body. I'm just more or less I just wish there was more of a bitterness to it, whether or not there was hop driven or like dark patent malt driven or something like that, where it was just bringing that extra oomph. Because then that would have just made it like a 10 out of 10 for me for personal preference. But overall, it's a fantastic beer. I'm really enjoying it. I just wish there was just that extra little bit on the bitterness side of things. So that's it. Sorry, I couldn't join the 10 out of 10 party, but
Terrible.
So all I gotta say is I gotta give Ashley a 10 out of 10 for his tasting notes, because that's a hell of a lot of detail. The other thing I gotta say is that now I am the one complaining about having to follow him up. It's all right.
Yeah, welcome to my world. It happens all the goddamn time.
all right.
Just repeat what he said.
I'm trying to stay sober.
I agree with
enough.
Ashley.
Sorry, Beard. I'm trying to stay sober enough. I know it's not, but it's anti-bullying day, and
I still agree.
knows how much of a bully I can be. Anyway, so yeah, my thoughts on this thing here, smell-wise, it smells orgasmic. When I first poured this, I'm not even kidding. Like when I wasn't on camera when I first poured this, and I was just like sniffing it like this for like 2 minutes. I'm like, oh my God. Oh, nobody wants to see what's under the table right now.
Your hand on your penis?
Chocolate syrup, butterscotch, rum, raisins, figs. It's a little bit warming the smell. Super complex. When I drink it, it's got this nice dark cocoa, woody tannicness, some butterscotch, like Werther's Original, like we were talking about.
Lifesavers.
I'm almost getting like caramel candy, like a almost like a Turtles or something. Maybe not quite as nutty, but it's almost kind of resembling some kind of confectionery chocolate, like you would open up at Christmas or something like that. The finish on this thing it's a little bit earthy. It's very much like resembling like a dark chocolate bar, like an 80% chocolate or something that's really dark, with a nice little roasty finish on it. But it also comes off as very smooth, so it's not that bitter. I mean, it is bitter, but it's not that bitter. And it's impressive that at what is this 11.9% this thing, it's boozy. I mean, it's not boozy. It's warming, but it's not boozy. It's amazing how easily drinkable this comes across. Like this is. It's just absolutely deceptive, and you probably wouldn't want to drink too many or more than one of these yourself. You could, because it's not hard to palate. That's for sure. It's definitely a sipping beer.
You can drink 4.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I like they were mentioning on the bottle that they didn't mention what kind of barrels they are. If I were to wager a guess, I'm going to say Irish whiskey. I don't know for sure. I don't think it's quite Canadian whiskey, or maybe it's something similar, but it just comes across as a little bit like that butterscotch as well as like the character to the. It's not quite peppery rye or I find like Canadian whiskey is a little on the bland side, like depending on what you get, maybe like Northern Harvest rye or something from Crown Oil, but it almost resembles like a Jameson's or something along those lines. Maybe a little bit fancier than that. Who knows? All I know is that I'm really fucking enjoying this beer, and when it comes to barrel-aged Russian Imperial stouts, it's hard to ask more for this, and I'm gonna jump on the 10 party here actually, and people know that I don't do that kind of thing.
I made a comment to that effect earlier. You're blowing my mind right now. This is amazing.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it 10 for the style because I can't ask for more. This is absolutely what I want. When like. Who cares? I mean, I find a lot of difference in its complexity, and like what I really want out of a bourbon barrel aged stout might differ. But when it comes to the style, this is what I imagine like an Irish whiskey cask or something would taste like if it was aged for a year or something like that. It's not quite bourbon. I like bourbon better, but this is perfect for the style. 9.5 overall, so I'm matching my score from a couple years ago. This beer is a fucking incredible brew. I love it, and I wish I had more of it. And you're right, Redbeard. I would probably buy, even at $17. It's absolutely worth it. I would buy like 3 or 4 of these.
They're fantastic. This is a goddamn
there's
beer.
no question in my mind. This is worth the money.
It's a perfect beer. 9.5 out of 10.
It lives up to all the hype that Ashley doesn't find. Apparently, I don't know.
I enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong.
He's entitled to his opinion. It's not like 8.85 is a low.
I'm not knocking. I'm just making a little joke. It's okay. I still love
Let's
Ashley.
also be clear that Ashley has a better palate than
I was just gonna say Ashley is the one who we're all in fear of following because of his god palate you have going on there.
He's got the pinky out palate.
There you go.
We're all of us are looking for different things in different beers.
Also, yeah, fair enough. Yeah,
That's all it
touche.
comes down to.
No,
So-
Touche.
Well, it's just like I said, like
mention
Ashley, 10 out of 10 for your palate. I mean, you were amazing with that.
I'm
You know
going to mention one thing which I found odd, and I don't mean to go against the great Sexton, but I just find it's funny because you mentioned you were looking for a bit more bitterness in it. I actually find if I were to actually be a little bit more critical of this beer,
Yep.
I actually find it almost too bitter. So
It's got a really
but
nice
it's not-
coffee bean thing going on.
But it's not a hop bitterness. It's more of it's like red beer says, it's almost more of a coffee bitterness or I'd say like a tannic bitterness or something like that.
75 IBUs on that bitch.
And you know what? I think what it was is that I mean a lot of with a lot of the darker beers, I'm looking for the flavor to carry through like 30, like 45 seconds after the sip. I'm looking for it to linger in my mouth a little bit, and I'm looking for those like sharp notes that sort of let me know I just drank an 11% beer. You know,
Who is it? Who made the comment a while ago about Greg being the hipster guy. I think Ashley's trying to
No, that was
take
Lee.
the.
I'm a hipster. Look,
I'm just kidding,
up.
Ashley.
And I have a pink shirt for anti-bullying day. That's hipster.
So I don't know. Maybe I'm just a little bit more. I don't know.
Woke. Woke.
Maybe my palate's buffered a little bit for bitterness. I don't know. I'm just not picking up all the bitterness. But what I get from that's malt driven, that's on the sweet side of things, is perfect. Like the malt driven flavors on this are absolutely fantastic. You know, everything that you guys described earlier, like I love all of that. I just wanted a little bit more of a sharp edge to it, because I find after the sip, like after 5-10 seconds, it just sort of falls off. And maybe that's a testament to the quality that it is, and because it is so smooth, you don't feel the alcohol, you don't notice the 11 point whatever %. But you know,
this is a very, very dangerous. This is one of the most dangerous beers in that regard I've ever had, man. You would like it comes across as like just a really well made, like, you know, maybe 7 or 8% stout. You'd never fucking know. What does it say? 11.9 is what it is. That's outrageous. But again, like your palate, Ashley, I feel it's like generally the way you describe beers, like you're getting all these flavors that we're like, where's this coming from? Like you do, like you've got it. If you haven't applied or gone through any kind of like Cicerone program kind of thing, I feel like you would do well in that aspect.
Yeah, actually, you know, I mean, I've considered going for that kind of path myself, but you trump me. You're good at this.
Nah, Nick, you're the real Trump of this chat.
Shut up, Greg.
Training.
I have to go guys. I have to go to the chat. So you can carry on in a second. So Craig from Camp Beer Reviews was saying, is 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time the new time for BA 101? I will let respond in a second. Lee said the magic question, what's next week's beer? Thank you, sir. Craig was hashtag WNWB, hurry the fuck up. Oh, okay, there we go. What's next week's beer? Paul from PA Brew News.
Holy shit, hey, Paul. Paul.
He says it's definitely not what it used to be. Hashtag God Palate. Craig says hi. PA Brew News says hi, Craig. PA Brew News, it sounds like it's got a lack of the savory aspect, and it's a bit thin, by the way.
Oh, hashtag it's a bit thin, my ass.
I don't think Paul had it since 2014.
Probably not. I don't know.
Paul, let us know in the chat before we go offline.
And then
this isn't like soupy kind of syrupy thick, but it's got a good fucking solid mouthfeel to it, in my opinion.
I like hashtag patronize Ashley Power Hour. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Power Hour.
And this is the beer that Greg bought everybody, but everybody's sucking Ashley's.
No, it's a good beer. It's just
Ashley's needs.
It's not a good beer. It's a very good
it's
beer.
Anti-bullying day, so we're letting Ashley have this one, and we're complimenting him in the process.
Yeah.
We're actually being condescending, but yes, Ashley, that's a good. That's a very good, very good opinion there.
It's funny.
No, again, I don't agree with his numbers.
Told me to be nice.
I don't agree with Ashley's numbers, but again, I will defer to his palate. Kind of.
The score's fantastic, and again, palettes are bullshit. It's whatever you want. It's
everybody's a difference. So.
Oh my god, look at that fucking score.
I might have to see if I got the screenshot for Solstice and see how that compares.
I was gonna say the important thing is this the highest rated beer ever?
Probably.
Well, let me see if I can find the
GLB
Solstice.
What year's label is that? Like GIF you got?
Not GIF, but 2014.
Like,
oh really? I like it. I like it. Actually, randomly, and what's the point?
There you go. So 93 and 95. Shut up, Redbeard. 93 and 95 was the score for Solstice.
Who gave this a thumbs down?
What?
Someone gave this a thumbs down. It's probably Paul. Anyways,
Paul. Or you.
Oh, so it's switched because the style is higher for Tempest, but the overall is a little lower.
That was because of me, though.
That really was entirely because of you.
It was entirely because
you gave it an 8.
I just read a thing I noticed. Why?
Because of Nick too. Because Nick, you rated your style.
I rated it 10 and 9.5.
On this
so
one,
which is still like incredibly high ratings for me.
Yeah.
No, it is, but because that's why the style is higher than the overall. It's both you and Ashley. So
Yeah.
What are you
so
showing there?
it's kind of
Just
a I guess
on this year's bottle, why do you figure the O is small and underlined? What's this? Is there some kind of significance there? It just seems weird to me. I noticed that.
Probably nothing, to be honest.
That's probably just a graphic designer wanting to like add depth to it or something.
It just seems. Well, yeah, but that's just why that one vowel and
Well, yeah. No, I know.
why not one of the E's in the Tempest 2 or something? That's just weird to me. I don't know. I feel like it's significant. It might be some kind of inside joke or something we're not getting. There's got to be maybe not, but I feel like there needs to be a reason for that. It's weird to me.
It's
Sorry.
probably just a font thing. I don't know. I'll ask Amy. I'll see what she thinks.
There you go.
By the
Anyway,
way,
I'm gonna jump
Always
off.
before your wife.
I'm gonna go say
All right.
good night to my
Good night to your kids.
So to the
I just
viewers,
gonna-
cheers. I'll see you later.
Cheers.
can I say
Cheers,
one
man.
thing before
All right.
we leave?
Have a good night,
Yeah.
Ash. Oh, well, we'll talk to you in a bit, Ash. Anyway, let's introduce next week's beer.
Oh,
Um,
yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, what is next?
That's fine. Next week's beer is London Porter from Fuller's.
Love it. Love it.
Love it. Yeah, I bought a couple cans. You just don't great off. Yes, good left. Yeah, I'm pretty sure most of us can get that one. I think you guys can get that Ontario.
Yeah, we
easy.
probably can.
It's a very good porter, and I figured, hey, it was finally fucking time to do it. And I was looking at it tonight, and I'm like, I actually like that beer. So yeah, London Porter's next week's beer, and I'm also reasonably certain that Craig of Ken Beer Reviews can get that quite easily. And yes, to answer the previous question, that this is going to be the new start time for Beer Analysis 101, just because I just recently started a new job, and
Let's talk all about it.
I'm not talking about my new job,
Yeah, where do you work?
but fuck you. It's a nice job. I like it so far. It's very busy, but it also means I have to get up really early in the morning. So this is like an 8 p.m. start so that I can actually enjoy the beer with you guys in the evening.
Nick is adulting like a goddamn pro right now.
I'm adulting right now. I'm adulting like a motherfucker, yo.
Now, Nick,
That was
That was
terrible.
that's on the internet forever now. That's on the internet
That's
forever.
gonna be the next Jamie gift.
hey,
Got
can
fucking
Greg
mother
talk?
original gangster, yo.
I love
Know what I'm
it. Go ahead.
saying?
What are you saying, Greg?
What?
Nick, you're being
Jesus
racist.
Christ.
Shut up, Greg.
I
All
just
right, we're
wanna
gonna
say-
go.
He's appropriating.
We're
He's
going
appropriating gang
Thanks
signs.
for watching.
Penis!
Ah! We'll talk to you in a bit.